our topic today is in business for fashion, and I use for fashion as opposed to say of fashion, because sometimes when we produce a runway show, oftentimes we get fashion designers ready to wear, right? But how often do you find fashion designers that are ready to sell? Oftentimes, some of the things that we've noticed is that they come across many challenges in becoming in business for fashion. And this is not to say either that I am the expert on being a fashion designer. I'm a fashion show producer. And so twice a year, Orange County Fashion Week comes out in September and March, and we produce runway shows. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Orange County, we are considered the luxury market of California. The spend in Orange County is approximately $37 billion in consumer expenditures. That's without the aid of Los Angeles. Now, I did get a chance to talk to Vogue magazine, and I asked them, how do you rank fashion capitals? And apparently they rank it based on search engine optimization. Now, if they ranked it on spend, wouldn't that be interesting? It would be, if they ranked it on spend, fashion capitals, you would be able to identify with who is selling higher in retail sales, and of course, identify with those companies that are selling well in business. So that actually brought to light a lot of different components as we were building our show and also building our brand. So some of the things that we came across was, and I'm just going to put here, this is one of our catwalks that we're going to be showcasing this September. This is called World Peace Lake. And I'm so sorry we would have more photos, but we were in a rush and we were so excited to be presenting today. But one of the things that we have the opportunity to do is showcase different fashion designers to our consumer market. And the thing about our market is that this particular market that's different from the rest of the world is that the consumer expenditure is so high that even without advertising, our spend has the threshold to spend equivalent to a fashion capital. But it brings to light one very important thing, and that is approximately the businesses located in Orange County, and some of them are the leading retailers in both beauty and in fashion. The headquarters there is, say, St. John's Knits, we're wearing today, and also, say, everyone from Urban Decay to Too Faced Cosmetics is also based here in Orange County, and some of the larger surfwear lines, anywhere from Quicksilver, Rip Curl. We have so many different leading manufacturing offices also there and headquartered there, has really bring to light a lot of really great success stories. But why I'm here to speak to you today is because one of the things that we noticed that has changed in the retail market, and I'm giving you the point of view not of a fashion designer, but the point of view from a fashion show producer, is that as media has changed and leading that social media pipeline, of course, is fashion. I have identified with one major thing, and that is if fashion is a language, style is what we speak. And I always say that when we talk to different sponsors when they decide whether or not they're going to be a sponsor of Fashion Week, because sometimes they're in a totally different market and a totally different industry, from real estate to automotive, so they want to know how these fashion designers are going to translate and become relative to the market. And this is one way we say that, and the reason why is because if you look at the social media feed, it's not like you see the local dentist running it and driving the interest on the feeds. You're seeing fashion influencers, fashion designers that are driving these followers, beauty influencers that are driving these followers. And so you're seeing the dynamic shift in multimedia and multi-lengths, and they're doing it because they're using fashion as a language. And here you're seeing fashion as a currency, right? Because we're seeing this amazing exchange here at Global Sources. So the second thing I always want to point out is that when we have fashion designers at OC Fashion Week, there comes a time where they come to a decision. And sometimes they get onto the runway, and then the major thing that we see is we see two different types of designers. There is the artist whom we love and appreciate, and then there's the artist who is also the entrepreneur who we also love and appreciate. And oftentimes, I want to shed some light onto this because I really believe that oftentimes they get so caught up in that creative mode that they forget to be in business for fashion. They forget to put that operations hat on and to take that threshold of the catwalk. They're here on the catwalk. They've got their photographers lined up, donating photos. We've got models lined up. And are they using the material for marketing? Are they packaging for their next collection? Are they raising awareness about their brand in that light? And if so, are they putting a price tag on every single piece that hits the collection? I have to wonder what that would be like if they decided to make a determination on a unit sale that night, the moment they hit the catwalk. But oftentimes, we're tied up in hair and makeup, we're tied up in casting, we're tied up in making sure that everything looks appropriate, that sometimes it's hard to balance the two. So that is a major challenge for some fashion designers, that if you are an emerging designer, to come across that. But something to be mindful of if you are starting out, if you are becoming a fashion designer, that putting, just by that small act or that small moment to put a price on your unit sale, I think that makes all the difference. I know we had some designers last season that they were just purchasing right off the catwalk, so it was really great. The other thing I like to say is that time is the new luxury. We used to think you look at things like expensive cars, vehicles, but in truth, because everybody's running their lives through social media in some way, shape, or form, it's become such a major convenience. I heard through the local shopping malls even, and some folks, during the Christmas holiday season, and what would happen is they would get stuck in traffic, and so swipe, they just made a purchase, and bought the pair of shoes online, because why? Because time is new luxury. Unless you have a fantastic event to go to, and you will drive 50 lights and wait 50 lights to jump on a yacht to attend a fantastic catwalk show. Are you willing to wait for that anticipated brand? But for those of you that are just shopping, and if you don't already have an e-commerce site, this is a really great reason to have that. And that is because you're going to take advantage of time. I know during Fashion Week, one of the things that I always like to say is that we actually use time and pressure to our advantage. The less time, the more decisions we make, and so we use every quarter hour, every 15 minutes, you make a decision to move people forward. And I really think that if everybody adapted to that as a startup fashion designer, and you just take a block of time, and you make a decision every quarter hour, that I swear, it'll work. You'll be making waves, you'll be doing something different. You'll be making a change in yourself and adapting to that change. But it always takes that moment to act, and get past that part where you get stuck being the artist. And so, but we love the artist, we still love the artists, we think they're great. I came across this really great article. Fashion United is a leading online publication. They actually also happen to be one of our media partners, and we're really excited to be part of them. And one of the things that they identified was a particular brand, and I wanted to share this for emerging fashion designers because as an observer of fashion designers in our fashion world, the things that I seem to identify with are brands that create a culture. I met makeup companies that have come across our way during Fashion Week, and for some reason they get stuck or they stall. And the ones that move forward that I found to be really a differentiating factor are the ones that actually create a culture surrounding their brand. And everybody identifies it before you even say their name. And so what I loved about Lululemon, and I know this is the entire power of 3 strategy that they've had, and of course it goes into financials, but there's a bottom line here. And they found the sweet spot. And what that sweet spot was is that they actually have here an experiential brand that creates compelling experiences for guests who want to completely live in the sweat life. Lululemon Athletica, for those of you who don't know, is a lifestyle brand that has created a culture around their brand. I remember my first experience going to their store. They had a spin cycling class. And everybody wanted to go in that store, guys and girls. They were hitting both markets at the same time. and you wanted to sign up for the spin class, and you're like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. You were connecting with other fans of Lululemon. All of a sudden, you're starting to feel this culture. Similar culture when you go to Starbucks. You just feel like you belong. You get your your coffee cup. You're waiting in line. You're a Starbucks member. Same thing. Lululemon Athletic. You want to be a member. You want to belong. And the reason why is because it's so cool, it's so captivating, they're immersing you into the world, and all of a sudden you're living their lifestyle, and all of a sudden you're leaving the store with shopping bags because now you're a member of Lululemon. So this is a really great example of a brand that's living outside of their name, a brand that's created a culture. And I want you to feel equally as inspired to look at your brand and see how the audience looks at your brand. Are you creating a culture? Are you creating a fan base that wants to be part of that culture? And if so, what kind of lifestyle experience are they getting a chance to experience your brand in that way? So as opposed to just promoting at people, are you consuming them right back? So that's something to think about that I noticed, and it's something that resonated with me. And one of the things that we do during runway season is we actually cultivate different audiences. And it's a very different approach to producing runway shows because you're dealing with multiple brands. So not only are you dealing with fashion show designers and their individual brands, but also Toni and Guy Hairdressing Academy, Sephora. We're also working with, lash companies. We're also working with automotive companies. And there's a delicate balance to obtain, this cross bridge of audiences that are going to pertain to both the sponsors and the designers at the same time. And so oftentimes what we do, we actually theme events based on it. And people say, how come you don't create this event? How come you don't create this? And that's because we wait till all the fashion designers come in. And then we start to categorize them. Ready to wear, resort wear, avant-garde, couture. And we actually put a different night for each designer category and a different theme based on that night. And what that does is that pulls on those audiences, and then we actually theme them by the sponsors. And so what it did is it allowed us to cultivate totally different audiences every night. 25 to 54 men, streetwear, 18 to 49 women, emerging designer audience. Recently we had celebrity cruises. They wanted all resort wear. 25 to 54 plus household income, 250K. So each time we actually think about how we're going to cultivate those audiences and then bring them into that world. So from a producer's point of view, we always look at what other brands you're being paired with. And if you're doing it autonomously, how you achieve cultivating an audience is also a key factor into how you're relating to businesses. So that's kind of one of the things that we always bring up. And then